Previously, our intrepid heroes had ventured through the jungles in order to rescue their companion Bumble from the clutches of a cult-like tribe of goblins at their village, Yeliark. The rescue attempt did not go according to plan, but it was relatively successful. At first. See, just before they were able to make their escape, two members of the party, Tephis and Ars, were wrapped up in a trap which folded the center of the village into a giant net and catapulted them miles across the jungle. Those who avoided the trap are now left to wonder just what the hell to do next. Welcome newcomers to the channel, and welcome back to those who have been following the series so far. Here we are with the continuation of our nail-biting Tomb of Annihilation narrated story retelling. Part 9, Camp Vengeance. Worth mentioning as well, there has been some pushback concerning the use of AI in these videos. Now yes, I have used AI to generate some of the images you see in order to help with the visual storytelling, especially specific to mine and my players' experience with this campaign. But all the rest is entirely me. The script, the narrating, the editing, and the social media posting, which is helped by those close to me. Just wanted to clear the air on that, and hope you can still take plenty of enjoyment from these videos for their storytelling aspect. Thank you. Now then. The serene amber glow, which douses the jungle floor intermittently through the broken tree line, signals the arrival of evening as the sun begins to set. Its influence, however, is still felt as the singeing, sweltering heat of Chult's tropical jungle clings to the skin like an itch. Bori the dwarf wipes his sweat-ridden brow before slumping down on his backside, resting up against a large tree branch. "Shit, fuck, piss, bollocks and wank!" He curses to the sky, which seconds before held the rolled-up leaf and twine-made catapult, containing the central tents of Yeliark village, a spattering of goblin adults and children, the leader of the goblin tribe, Queen Grabstab, and Ars and Tephis, two prominent members of the travelling party, now nowhere to be seen, likely hurled miles across the jungle to God knows where. An apt choice of words. Revna the elf, still staring at the sky, responds to the dwarf. After a long, defeated sigh, he turns to Bori and offers him a hand. "But we must go. Andrel is waiting for us, and these supplies are not going to carry themselves. Tephis and Ars are still alive. I feel it. Their fate is merely in the hands of the gods now." Bumble the goblin, on the other hand, is a little preoccupied. Unbeknowing of their entire tribe's desolation, 8 goblin children followed Bumble blindly across the bloody battlefield, more enthralled with her magical theatrics than the fight going on around them, even though most of Bumble's magic was being used to obliterate Batiri goblins. All of them vying for her attention and affection. Bumble cannot find it within her heart to leave them behind. Bori and Revna obviously think it is a bad idea, but Bumble will not be swayed. Enough destruction and loss has happened here today, perhaps it's worth gaining something too. Can't really argue with that. And with this, they set off, back in the direction of Camp Righteous, 2 party members lighter and 8 goblin children heavier. During this time, they decide to acquaint themselves with their new young travelling companions. The Batiri younglings introduce themselves: Tiz, Gleek, Frug, Gibberleague, Swack, Bizza, Shrelk, and Clap, all of whom possess a childlike wonder towards everything outside of the village that they have been raised in. This doesn't stop their inherent goblin-isms from coming out, though, often scurrying away out of sight, trying to trip over Revna and Bori as some elaborate prank, and constantly complaining about being hungry, tired, bored, and too hot. Bumble manages to neuter them, however, by giving them the very important job of helping carry the stolen supply crates, because doing so will result in them getting a nice big meal for supper. Speaking of, as nighttime now falls over the jungle, and the clear path of their own footprints that Revna had been using to retrace their steps vanishes into darkness, they decide to stop and set up camp for the night. Parking themselves near a small stream, Revna goes out to scavenge enough food for the 11 of them, whilst Bori prepares the camp, and Bumble continues to try and control the children. They are proving to be much less manageable than the wildlife companions she used to surround herself with back in the forests of home. The animals were much less quizzical, rebellious, and opinionated. In fact, the animals didn't speak at all, making it much more tolerable. Much to everybody's relief, a good hearty meal of charred something or other is enough to send the goblin younglings to sleep. And as the campfire billows a gentle orange hue over the clearing, and reflects its rippled light across the crystal-clear stream nearby, the adventurers sit in silence, wondering what the future holds for them. Are Ars and Tephis still alive? If so, where on earth could they be, and how on earth will we find them? If they're dead, what does this mean moving forward? What of the quest? Will they even be able to survive the jungle without their quick-witted rogue, or without their fearless and stalwart paladin, who was also the one who would have been able to get them a way in with the Order of the Gauntlet? But the potential answers to such questions do not flourish, as their ponderings are abruptly cut short. Creeping its way through the thicket, a low hum hovers its way forward, crescendoing into a loud buzzing that penetrates the air, permeating from all around. With just enough time for the heroes to grab onto their weapons, a trio of terrifyingly large wasps burst their way into the campsite and attack. These particular freakishly enlarged insects possess no rhyme or reason in their attacks, but rather charge headfirst, or ass first as I should say, into the fray with their large stingers thrusting forward. Having seen enough slaughter for one day, the adventurers decide not to pull any punches, and dispose of the aggressive wasps as quickly as they can. Bumble lashes them down to the ground with magical vines, Revna picks them off from a distance, and Bori bashes them to a gooey stump. After the giant wasps are defeated, Bumble jumps on the opportunity to scavenge what she can from their corpses. As a somewhat toxicologist, Bumble spent a lot of her 3 years of life collecting and selling toxins and poisons. She carefully extracts some poison from the stingers of the dead wasps and deposits them into a vial. Hopefully she can get some use out of that later. With the threats neutralized, one by one they simmer down and finally get some rest for the night. Taking it in turns to keep a lookout, the rest of the night lulls along, eventless. When dawn breaks on the following day, they waste no time in setting off, much to the disdain of the goblin children, who would rather play in the water and find some insects to squish. Bumble allows them to play with the decaying mandibles of the giant wasps, which keeps them thoroughly amused for the best part of 20 minutes. Much to their relief, the trek back to Camp Righteous does not take long. As per the plan, Undril Silvertusk and the remaining Order of the Gauntlet members, along with Kawasha and Weed, their wilderness guides, are waiting for them. They have been laying low the last day, avoiding drawing any attention to themselves. Initially elated at the return of their supplies, their emotions quickly change. Wait, where the hell is Tephis? And the others? What happened? Undril asks, a deep concern in her voice. They tell her the truth, that Jeffroy is dead, and that the others are gone. She specifically asks again after Tephis. They confirm that he is gone too. She walks away, head bowed. The others know better than to disturb her. They ask Kawasha if anything happened while they were gone. He tells them that earlier that day, Weed had stumbled upon something strange. Whilst surveying the area, he could have sworn he saw some large snakes hiding in the bushes. Upon closer inspection, the imprints left laying in the mud appeared to be human. Strange. Best to keep their guard up just to be safe. After collecting her thoughts and deciding what to do with the change in circumstances, Undril returns to the group. We have to press on. Camp Vengeance is not far from here. We have to get these supplies there before something else gets in the way. She's not wrong. They load themselves and the supplies onto the canoes, which feel significantly lighter now, and continue the journey south towards Camp Vengeance. Many hours pass as the canoes float their way down the river. Fortunately, Kawasha possesses quite the knack for dealing with children, as the youngling goblins are thoroughly entertained by trying to pull the leaves off of Weed, which gives Bumble a bit of a break. But as the sun begins its descent, signaling the passing of another day, they reach their destination. Through the foliage, they see a crude timber fortification, a walled compound with watchtowers and tents within, encircled by a ditch bristling with sharpened stakes. A large gatehouse faces the river, on the shore of which are 4 rowboats tied to a wooden post. Scattered around the fort are piles of charred human corpses and flayed animal carcasses swarming with flies. Though not a word is spoken, the same feeling is felt by all, a collective sinking of the heart. From the way Undril had spoken about Camp Vengeance, they had all come to believe that it was some kind of bastion, standing tall and stoic, a shining beacon of hope nestled within a land of hopelessness. But no. Whatever hope once fueled this place has been reclaimed by the jungle. The camp still flies the banners of the Order of the Gauntlet, but they hang limp, stained, and forgotten. Mooring their canoes at the wooden post, the adventurers approach the fort. A spattering of guards stand upon the decaying watchtowers flanking the gatehouse. They call down as the adventurers approach. Undril steps forward. "Priest Undril Silvertusk, I have come with the healers and supplies from Port Nyanzaru." "Hail!" A guard calls back. "I thought we sent for more of you." "You did, but some of us didn't make it through the jungle." "Oh, shit. Hardly a surprise. You best come inside then." The group is ushered inside, provided that the goblin children remain out. Bumble agrees to stay with the children as long as they are allowed to set up camp just outside the fort. Proceeding inside, their hearts drop further still. Perhaps Camp Vengeance was once a heroic stronghold, but it is now practically a quarantine zone masquerading as a holy war camp. Racked by disease and malnutrition, the Order of the Gauntlet members drag their way through the camp, moving supplies, manning the watchtowers, and cooking up miscellaneous remains. Around 50 to 60 people are present in the camp, a mix of guards, veteran fighters, a religious corps of acolytes and priests, and a ragtag group of Cholton hunters and scouts. They are initially greeted by Captain Pern Salhana, a woman clearly from the north of Faerun, and Captain Ord Firebeard, an aging gold dwarf, who welcome them to the camp and apologize for its current state. Captain Firebeard will go and inform the commander of their arrival. He also takes Undril and Aiden to the hospital tent so they can get straight to work. Captain Salhana escorts Bori, Revna, Kawasha, and Weed to a campfire in the center of the fort. "So what the hell happened to this place?" Bori inquires. "It wasn't always like this," Captain Salhana replies. "Camp Vengeance was set up as a place of refuge and security, a stronghold to fight back against the accursed undead that plague this land. But time it has been unkind. As you can see, we have managed to keep the dangers from breaking down our walls, but the jungle strikes in other ways. Sickness, disease, and we have not the manpower or healing properties to counter it." She informs them as to how a handful of Gauntlet warriors escaped the undead onslaught against Camp Righteous by retreating down the River Soshenstar towards the Aldani Basin. After 3 days, they ended their retreat by digging in this spot. Word got back to Port Nyanzaru and reinforcements were sent. It flourished for a while, but eventually it was unwholesome vapors and clouds of insects descending from the pestilential Aldani Basin that beat them blue, along with the exhaustion that came from the constant battles protecting the fort from predators. It seems clear that the smart move for the Order of the Gauntlet would be to abandon this quest and recuperate before braving the jungles again, this time with a bigger force and more of an idea as to what to expect. But Captain Salhana states that Commander Breakbones refuses to abandon his mission. Many have tried to change his mind, and all have failed. The dwarf, Captain Firebeard, returns, saying that the commander is ready to see them now. Entering the command tent, they meet Commander Niles Breakbone, a middle-aged human man wearing regal attire and armor that has seen better days. Along with the Order of the Gauntlet's crest, the symbol of the god Tyr can be seen upon him. His long, wavy blonde hair is draped over his face, masking the weary and grizzled look upon it. He stands above a collection of inaccurate maps and reports on camp supplies. Revna steps forward to introduce the group. Lord Commander, my name is Exarevna Nelarin of the Nelarin tribe. This is Kawasha and Weed of the Enclave and Bori of the North. We helped escort Andril and the other. Did you arrive via river or land? Commander Breakbone's gravelly voice breaks through the introductions. A little surprised, Revna collects himself before continuing. We travelled by boat, but we were wandering. Good. I've a group of 6 soldiers and some letters that need returning to the city. I'll round them up so you can leave right away. Revna turns to look at the others. Kawasha flashes him a surprised look and a shrug of the shoulders, whereas Bori raises one eyebrow and grimaces. Revna turns back around. Sir, it would be unwise to travel at night. We were hoping we might be able to rest here. We were also promised the other half of our payment upon arrival. Bori bravely butts in. Commander Breakbone raises his head for the first time since their arrival. A scowl is drawn across his face. After a long and uncomfortable pause, he speaks. Fine, you can rest here for the night, but I want you gone at first light. Salhana, give them their payment, but not as much as was agreed on, as I hear that most of our men didn't make it. They exit the command tent, feeling thoroughly disappointed. So what now? Bori asks. Are we going to go through with this work that we didn't ask for? Maybe we can help in a different way. Kawasha chips in. The Emerald Enclave also wish to strike out against the undead here in Chult. Perhaps we should offer our services to aid them in their plight. No, Revna replies. We will escort their wounded back to Port Nyanzaru. Think about it, Bori. If Ars and Tephis are still alive, we will have to use magic to contact them, and the only place we'll be able to find magic like that is back in the city. Somewhere far away from the somewhat safe confines of Camp Vengeance, Ars opens his eyes. Taking a moment to adjust to the light, he feels a twinging pain in his hand and loosens his tight grip around the shaft of his Ikalwa. Looking down, he sees that the sharp end of the weapon is lodged deep in the gut of the Batiri leader, Queen Grabstab, who lies dormant on a bed of large leaves and broken sticks. He takes the magical amulet from around her neck and places it on his own, before standing to his feet. Oh good, you're still alive. Tephis emerges from the brush, sweaty, bruised, cut up, and with a thoroughly concerned look upon his face. Looking around, Ars gets a better lay of the land. The Batiri leaf net lays sprawled out on the ground, broken. A retinue of tents lie wrecked among the leaves, with various goblin bodies of all shapes and sizes mingled in with the destruction. The net worked. The Batiri's failsafe to be flung across the jungle if things got too hot for the tribe did protect those within from the fall. Unfortunately for the Batiri, all of them had already been slaughtered by the time the net was sprung, so the only people it ended up protecting was Ars and Tephis. Deep jungle surrounds them from every direction. Any idea where we are? Ars splutters out through bated breath. Haven't the damn foggiest. Clever trap, especially for goblin standards. Well, what wasn't so clever was you almost getting yourself killed. They had it under control. And what the hell is this, Ars? Burning down their tents? There are freaking kids among these bodies. They were in my way. Besides, you were the one who said you wanted to kill every last one of them. A silence hangs in the air. Tephis sighs. Let's figure out where the hell we are in the morning. I gotta rest up. Using the remains of the goblin tents, they fashion their own bedrolls, and as darkness envelops the jungle, they sleep. Rising the following morning, they are greeted with another bright blue sky and a sun that's casting waves of heat down upon the jungle. Good. A clear day means a better view of where they are and where they might be going. Before setting off, Tephis spends some time collecting supplies that might be useful from the remains of the goblin camp, and Ars is put in charge of finding out exactly where they are. Ars was always a bit of a nerd when it came to calligraphy, so he believes that if he can find out roughly where they are, he should be able to deduce which direction they need to go. Something most budding wizards learn from their early days of training is a spell called Find Familiar. Ars uses this spell to conjure into existence a small animal familiar which obeys his every command. He summons a Tressim, which he names Blinky. A Tressim is a magical creature that is basically a cat with wings. He then sends Blinky flying upwards until she breaks through the tree line. Now, a neat part of the Find Familiar spell is that the caster can zone out and see through the eyes of their familiar, like a warg in Game of Thrones. In doing this, Ars looks through Blinky's eyes and surveys the land beyond. They are certainly surrounded by jungle for a fair distance, but he notes a mountain range not too far away from where they are. This is good. Ars recalls seeing a long mountain range on Syndra's map of Chult called the Mistcliff Mountains. He recalls that the Mistcliff Mountains are on the western border of Chult. Therefore, to get back to the River Soshenstar and back on track to finding the others, they must head east, away from the mountain range. With their heading found, they waste no time setting off. The deep jungle is far more perilous than traveling via the river, and traveling as a two makes the both of them feel significantly less safe. Therefore, they take it steady, trying their best to weave through clusters of trees and bushes, drawing as little attention to themselves as possible. They even stray away from conversation in an attempt to stay quiet. At one point, a long yellow constrictor snake dangles itself down from a tree and grabs Ars around the neck. A vain attempt from the snake, however, as a swift strike from Tephis's Kopesh cleaves the serpent in twain. Their luck does not last, unfortunately. As the two of them are making their way through a small clearing, a squeal pierces through the silence, followed by the rustling of bushes. Breaking through the foliage, a wild boar charges its way towards them. It does not stop, however, as it runs right past them until it is out of sight. It is then that they realize what the boar was running from, as, bursting into the clearing immediately thereafter, a band of 6 hungry and fierce-looking Deinonychus appear. A Deinonychus is a species of dinosaur similar to, but slightly larger than, velociraptors. Spotting 2 significantly more tasty-looking targets, they stop in their tracks to attack the adventurers. Ars and Tephis do their best to fend off the hungry beasts, but they are vastly outnumbered and wildly underprepared. A couple of the dinosaurs fall to the swashing of blades, but it is not enough. Blinky is quickly extinguished, as Tephis attempts to stand his ground, but is eventually overpowered. One of the Deinonychus wraps its jaw around his leg and pulls him to the ground. Without time to get back to his feet, the other beasts mercilessly pounce on him, ripping at his flesh and gnawing into his skin. Ars can't get to him. A dinosaur tears at his clothing, holding him back. He is powerless. Tephis' vision begins to blur, and as the world around him starts to go dark, he whispers a prayer, but not to Hor, the god of which he swore his oath to. Instead, he thinks of one thing: fire. Thank you so much once again for following the series. Please leave a like and a comment to this video, subscribe to the channel, or give it a share to keep this content coming thick and fast. Now next time, the main party travel back to Port Nyanzaru to discover that they are not welcome there. They also get a surprising visit from someone they thought they'd seen the last of. Meanwhile, Ars stumbles upon something of great value, something that might just keep him alive. Please do follow my new social media pages as well. Stories from the Big Chair on Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, and X. I will be sharing some of the images I have used in these videos on those platforms, so I would be extremely grateful if you could do so. Of course, a shout out to Theo and his new brand, New Mythos Music. I'll leave a link below. Please check it out if you're looking for fantastic fantasy music, or if you're interested in commissioned pieces for your campaigns or for your leisure. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in part 10.